Well, hello there YouTube. This is Mr. Gibson Guy here. Thank you for visiting me here on a new video. This is going to be a kind of a motorcycle video here about motorcycles, and I'll get right to the point on this. I am a lifelong motorcyclist, and when I first found out that FX was coming out with a motorcycle-based show, meaning the Sons of Anarchy, I was very excited about it, and looked forward to seeing the show. And because of my great love of riding motorcycles and how much it means to me, and I know that a lot of the audience base came from people who like motorcycles. But they also made a very good show that was easy for a lot of people to watch and drew a lot of people's attention who didn't ride motorcycles and probably vicariously enjoy the idea of riding a motorcycle while not leaving their living room. And that's fine. On top of that, after that show wrapped up and finished, Kurt Sutter took a break, and then he came back with a continuation of the story called Mayans M.C, a new series that he made with Elgin James. And Elgin, the series Mayans M.C, they finished 4 seasons, and they're in the production part of the 5th and final season that has been announced, and it's going to end there. And in going from Sons of Anarchy to Mayans, I have heard a considerable amount of negative feedback that I don't know that it was merited, but a number of people said, oh yeah, well, I like Sons of Anarchy, but I don't really care for the Mayans show that much. And the show's really good, and I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed watching the show, experiencing the thing, seeing the old characters come back, and, reprise some of the roles from the original show. It's really been a great show to watch, and you'll see here, there's a stack of 4 seasons of Mayans M.C. DVDs and 7 seasons of Sons of Anarchy, and I have researched both series as they exist so far. Don't know about season 5 of Mayans yet. But I came up with a list of parallels and similarities in characters and plot devices between Sons of Anarchy and Mayans M.C. And I want to make this video about going over these 15 similarities or tie-ins where the 2 shows come together, or employ plot devices from one show to the other that maybe didn't ever occur to you. But in watching the 2 shows and doing this analysis, I find that the series Sons of Anarchy has a lot more to do with the Mayans M.C. than we suspect. It's kind of like, I don't want to say doing the same thing over again, but there's a lot of similarities and parallels here. So let me just go through this, and then you can tell me what you think in the comments below, and come to the conclusion, tell me ideas that I have missed that you've come across. And I want to clarify, I'm not talking about, well, this is club bylaws and this is the regular procedures for club meetings, or this is, how we do our riding formation. Not details of stuff like that, but actually just details from the story of what happens to the characters and what they do, what their actions are, and the results. That is what I'm talking about, where these parallels come in. Let's start with the main characters, because that's obviously going to be a very big part of it. Main characters, okay, in Sons of Anarchy, our main character is Jackson Teller. Jax is a very observant and highly intelligent individual that thinks ahead of the other people, and because he's up above them and as far as his intellect goes, very bright, very very aware and observant, and he picks up on all kinds of things that other peoples won't. And then in Mayans, that would be Ezekiel Reyes, and guess what? It's going to be the very same description for Ezekiel. He has, as we say, is a beautiful mind, as Potter keeps pointing out, and also he has the photographic memory that comes in very useful. A number of times in the show, he will remember small details about things like tattoos or license tags that nobody else would even have noticed. So they kind of take it right on the verge of a superpower with both Jax and Ezekiel. That they are very bright. Let me say also, I meant to say this right at the very beginning, if you have not seen these shows, then I would suggest that you hit the like and subscribe button and then come back and watch this video after you've seen it, because everything that I've got here, whole page of things, is all spoilers. So I don't want to ruin it for you if you go to watch these shows. And also watch them in order. Watch all of Sons of Anarchy and then all of Mayans in order, and it makes sense that way. You can't pick out this and that. You'll never get anywhere with it. Let's keep going. Number 2, parents. All right, our main characters are fairly young. They're young adults, and they still have their parents around. So let's take a look. Jax Teller, his mother Gemma is still alive and kicking very much at the beginning of the series. His father, John Teller, was murdered 8 years before the show begins. Now with Easy's father, Felipe, is alive and well and running a butcher shop. And his mother, look at that, was murdered 8 years before the first episode. Marisol, his mom, is no longer with him. So Jax has his mom and not his father, and Easy has his father and not his mom. Both of them murdered 8 years before. How about siblings? Well, let's see. Jax Teller had one younger brother, Thomas, who died at a young age. We don't really get too many details, only that Gemma is bitter at her former husband, John, and blames him for the death of her son, her Thomas, as she calls him. And there are indications that he may have suffered from the congenital heart defect, which he inherited from his mother, and which later Jax's son inherits from his grandmother, while she blames John for it. Okay, so Jax had one younger brother who's dead, and Easy has one older brother named Angel, who is still very much alive. So we have one brother to our main character. And then as the show unfolds, in the case of Sons of Anarchy, we find out that John Teller didn't have 2, but had 3 children. And that Jax has a younger half-sister, and the third of John's children is named, ironically enough, Trinity. What else would you name her? Of course, Kurt Sutter at work there. Easy, on the other hand, who has his one brother and his one father and no mother, we find out along the way, has a half-brother, because before Angel and Easy, Felipe, who previously was known as Ignacio Cortez, fathered a baby with the wife of his employer, Jose Galindo, of the Galindo drug cartel, and And then, right after that happened, he disappeared, vanished off the face of the earth, and left Mexico. But he is the biological father to Miguel Galindo, now the head of the Galindo drug cartel. That used to be his father when his father was alive, Jose. Okay. Now, causes of death. Well, Jax's father, John Teller, was killed in a tragic, mysterious motorcycle accident outside of Charming, and he was killed alongside two Mayans. Some sort of a massive truck ran them over or got tangled up with them or something. But two members of the Mayans M.C. motorcycle club died alongside John Teller. But then again, Easy's mother, Marisol, was murdered by a hitman turns out named Happy Loman, who is a patch member of the Sons of Anarchy. So, Jax's father is killed, and there's Mayans involved, and Easy's mother is killed, and a brother of the Sons of Anarchy is involved. It's the hitman. So, we're seeing some parallels coming about here. Next, very important subject of childhood sweethearts. All right, now Jax, he had a childhood sweetheart, of course, and that was Tara Knowles, his girlfriend and the love of his life that he remembers with every other woman that he's been with ever since. Well, Tara's father imposed upon her that when she finished high school, she needed to go to medical school in Chicago and get out of Charming as far as possible, which she did. And she stayed out there for quite some time. Was it 8 years? I don't know, probably longer than that with med school, but she was gone for a long time. Left Jax behind. And then her father dies, and she has to return to Charming to deal with everything with the house and the car and his death and all that, and she ends up hanging around. In fact, she starts working at St. Thomas, the local hospital. How about Easy? Easy had a childhood girlfriend, childhood sweetheart. Her name was Emily Thomas, now Emily Galindo. Well, she was still in high school when he was starting college, and the hit on his mother left Easy desperately searching to catch his mother's killer. He took that on as the main focus of his life. Stopped school and just chased around ghosts looking for who had killed his mom. And in the process of this, he gets involved in a chase and a gun battle, and he ends up shooting a dirty cop who somehow was in the picture. We don't quite know how. And he gets sent to prison, meaning that he decides that not seeing Emily for 25 years is too much of an imposition, so he wants her to be free of him because he doesn't have any future. So they break up. She starts going with who ends up being Easy's older half-brother, Miguel Galindo, and marries Miguel, the older half-brother, unknown at the time to anybody, of Easy, her former childhood sweetheart. And then we take it a step beyond that to current sweethearts. And Jax's current sweetheart is Tara Knowles, now Tara Teller, his wife. It's kind of a funny name, isn't it? Tara Teller? Sounds like some version of a spider or something. And Tara, as his wife now, tries as hard as she can, but she just decides that Charming is not the place for their family to grow up. They have their first son, Abel, and now she has another son. And they named him Thomas, I think, after the brother. She gets offered a job in Portland at a hospital there because she is the neonatal heart specialist. Heart has special powers as a heart surgeon, almost superpowers like Easy and Jax. And so she wants to go around and save lives, and it's just a dangerous place for Jax to be in the club, and with all the club shenanigans that go on, she wants him out and to herself and safe and secure and not turning into a monster. On the other hand, Easy meets Gabby. He has pined away many years for Emily, who's married and has a kid now, and her husband wouldn't want anything to do with him. And despite Easy's planning and preparations to spend 25 years in prison, it ends up that he gets out after just a few years because he gets paroled with a deal to go join this motorcycle club that he doesn't really like or want anything to do with, and get them information, and in return he will get out of prison. So he takes the deal without letting anybody but his father know. Certainly doesn't tell his brother, who is a member of the Mayans, that he's ratting on them, because that wouldn't be good. And Gabby becomes his girlfriend, and she wants Easy to leave Santo Padre and the Mayans and move to Lodi, where she's going to go, of course, to nursing school, because she's going in the medical profession. Maybe she'll go from a nurse to a neonatal heart surgeon, who knows? But she wants to get Easy out of there before he's destroyed by all the violence and the upheaval with being in the motorcycle club. Next, we have a response, and guess what? Jax Teller and Ezekiel Reyes both tell their women that, honey, you are right. I can't take this. I don't like what it does to me. I need to get out of here. We're going to go to where your place is. We're going to get away and start over, and it's going to be great. Just let me clean up a few loose ends. Both of them say it word for word. Both golden boys who are going down the path of wrongness try to get straightened out by their women, and both of them say, yes, honey, you're right, I'm going to do that. Just what you say. Just let me clear up the loose ends. And it's the loose ends that cause all the problems. Well, what else do we have? How about blackmail? Let's see, let's play a game here. One member of the club has a secret. Somebody gets a hold of that secret and knows that the club is going to be getting a hold of a whole bunch of heroin, and they demand that this member of the club who wants to stay in good standing steal a kilo brick of heroin and bring it to them to show they mean business. And that way they won't get exposed. Which character am I talking about? Which show am I talking about? The answer is all of the above. In the case of Sons of Anarchy, that would be Juice, who is blackmailed to steal the heroin. In the Mayans, that would be Coco, who is blackmailed to steal the kilo of heroin and bring it to law enforcement for busting. So that's kind of a surprise that we've gone to doing the same blackmail for the 2.2 pounds of heroin in one of those bricks. But then that's not all. How about kidnapping? Now, That has this interesting story idea. How about kidnapping a baby? Who's the baby? Well, let's see. It could be, in the case of Jax, the Sons of Anarchy, it would be his baby Abel, who gets kidnapped and hauled off to Belfast, Ireland, far, far away from Charming. Or it could be Emily's son, Cristobal. Doesn't it sound like Cristobal, who gets hauled away and snuck off across the border to Mexico, all the way from Santo Padre to Santa Madre, or maybe beyond, out in the desert somewhere near the border. But you have 2 kidnappings, and spoiler alert again, that means that both of the children will eventually be recovered after much heartache from their parents and everyone else involved. Okay, how about, oh, this is jumping back from an earlier one. How about Rest in Peace? Remember how both Tara and Gabby want to have their man, Jax, or Izzy, come running away with them to get far away out of state and start life over again safely. Both of them end up, both of the women who tried to get their man away end up dead. As a result, they are brutally murdered because the guys just had to tie up a few loose ends. How about the good to the bad? Well, Jax starts out as a well-meaning guy, just kind of bouncing along in life, and then he starts to become aware of, and we'll talk about that coming up next, aware of what the bad stuff that the club is getting into and that it is dragging him down into. And he seeks to change the club. And no matter how hard he tries, it doesn't work, and he just gets dragged down further and further. By the same token, Easy didn't want to join the club. He had to do that for his prison deal. And he just thinks of himself as a good guy, other than accidentally killing the cop. That little detail that we'll kind of brush over there. But he doesn't like what goes on. But eventually it starts taking over him, just as it starts taking over Jax, until, just like Jax, he becomes a monster. Just like Dexter Morton. They both become serial killers, as trying their best they can to lead the club into legitimacy, and ended up just spiraling down. Maybe they should clean up. Oh, there is a cleansing that goes on in both Sons of Anarchy and in the Mayans M.C. Jax and Ezekiel. After they do big kills, they come home splattered in blood, and it shows the same scene of the guy in the shower with the water running down his face and all the blood rolling out the drain at the bottom of the shower while they try to cleanse themselves of their latest killings. And then one of my favorite ones is By the Book. You see, from episode 1 of Sons of Anarchy, Jax discovers this old manuscript which had been written by his long-deceased father. The Life and Death of Sam Crow. I believe that's the name of it, not Life and Times. Life and Death of Sam Crow. And it's about his vision for the club, his formation of the club, the guys that were in it, who were his friends and who were his enemies, and where they all start going wrong. And Jax reads this book, and it's, as his mother calls it, it's John calling to him from beyond the grave and putting all these stupid ideas into his head, because she and her lover and now husband Clay loved the money that they make from the guns, and she is always seen driving one Cadillac after another as she drives them and destroys them. But she's used to the money, and that's what she wants. And so that has to be what Jax wants. And it's sure not what Tara wants. But Tara's only the wife. Gemma is the fierce mother. What about Easy? Well, Easy, it's not quite as easy as that, even though we call it Easy. He could be kind of an easy character if you just build him on Jax, couldn't you? But Easy comes under the wing of Alvarez, Marcus Alvarez, the Padrino, the founder of the Mayans, just like John Teller was a founder of the Sons. El Padrino takes Easy under his wing and brings him up as the up-and-coming new presidente for the Santo Padre chapter, where he's headed. And he gives Easy the book. Just like John Teller, turns out that Marcus had been compiling a whole history in the development of the Mayans and what the club was meant to be. And he passes his book on to Easy to learn all the history of this club that he has been a member of for just a few months, and to go from there. So both men speak to the main character through their books and directions for their club, which we're going to clear up loose ends on. How about the feds? Anybody think of that? Well, the Sons of Anarchy end up getting aligned with the CIA, just as Assistant State Attorney Potter is just about to bust the whole club. All of a sudden the CIA comes along here and ends the whole sting operation. And the Sons, while Jax is trying to get out of town with Tara, are now stuck with the CIA and the cartel and delivering their heroin and distributing guns for where the CIA wants it. But in the Mayans, we have everything coming to an end when suddenly that same Lincoln Potter who got burned on the first deal decides that he wants to renew the CIA deal with the Galindo cartel and now with the Mayans Motorcycle Club. So he can have control over them and give them free access to move across the border and have them provide heroin wherever he wants it and provide guns wherever he wants it. And they have to go along. They get trapped by the feds in both cases. Storyline. The storyline is you have a smart young man who comes along to this group. It's in his path, his destiny, and he tries to take it to be the best it can be, and everything turns out to be the worst it can be, and he ends up, whether it's Jax or Easy, being the monster that's in charge of it all, and that does the whole thing. So you could look at this and say, I see some familiar threads here, but I think it's kind of hard to say, well, I like the Sons of Anarchy, but I don't like the Mayans, unless you've actually seen them and see why, because it's kind of seeing the same show over again, just with some subtitles. But the Spanish is easier to understand than the Irish, I'll tell you that much. But that's just my observations. Let me know what you think about it. Can you think of some other parallels that I didn't mention? More parts of the story? I'll tell you, it's great seeing the Sons of Anarchy characters come back and play their part again. It's really fun. If you enjoy the first show, you should absolutely love the second show, because it's just like a fulfillment of the prophecies of the first series. I look forward to some future shows, the Sons of Anarchy, the first 9, who knows what we may have. We don't know how season 5 is going to end up for Mayans. I have a feeling it's going to be kind of tragic for Jax, but I have my own wish. What I would tell Kurt to put in there, talk to Elgin about, is right at the end of it, when Chibs and Tig are sitting there meeting Alvarez and Easy, representing Mayans, and they're trying to come up with a surrender on this thing, and they ask Easy how it is that he ever wanted to get involved in the Mayans and that drove him into doing this in the first place. And Chibs somehow mentions something about, I asked the same thing on Jockey Boy. And Tiggs looks at Jackie Boy means Jack's teller. And Easy has this flashback to prison right then, where you see Easy talking to a fellow inmate of his in prison, and he's explaining how he's just been miserable here in prison, and he doesn't know how much longer he can hold on, but he's got this deal that people want to work with him to join this motorcycle gang that his brother's a part of, and give them intel on the gang, and he can get out of prison. And he says, I don't know if I want to do something like that, and I've never had any interest in it. And the inmate that he's talking to says, oh man, let me tell you, I'm in a motorcycle club, and that's the best thing you could do. Just trust me, dude. You join them, and it will be your whole family. It'll be the best thing you can do. You should definitely do it, man. And then he says, what's your name? He says, my name's Easy. My name's Jack. Glad to meet you. I'm Jack's teller. And that's how they should end it. And find out that it was Jack's that got him in the club in the first place. All right, let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.